Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. Malaysia Singapore to establish vaccine certificate to ease travelling between both countries. And IGP assures the public that everything is under control. That's coming up. Malaysia and Singapore begin talks to establish a vaccination certificate to ease travelling between the two countries. Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Hishamuddin Tun Hussein and Singaporean counterpart Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan met in Putrajaya today to discuss how to accelerate vaccination drives. Both ministers agreed the need to prioritise vaccination for long-term residents and Malaysian citizens who live and work in Singapore and vice versa. The two countries will also progressively restore cross-border travel, taking into account the COVID-19 situation in both countries. Despite calls by certain quarters, Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdulhamid Badar declined to reveal the identities of officers supposedly part of a corrupt cartel within the police force. Abdulhamid said he knows who they are, but assured the public that everything is under control and that there is no need for a Royal Commission of Inquiry to investigate his claim.
Last week, Abdulhamid revealed that there is a movement consisting of young police officers conspiring to get rid of him and to control the police force for its own purposes. He said the reason he exposed the issue in the first place was so that the officers involved are aware that he knows what is going on.
Ada yang suruh buat RCI lah apa. Sebenarnya saya tegaskan sekali lagi, it is under control. Ya. Saya hanya mewar-warkan perkara ini dengan harapan semua pihak tersebut dan lain-lain pegawai mengambil iktibar daripada ini.
In a statement, the Pakatan Harapan Secretarial Council urged the Home Minister Datuk Seri Hamzah Zainuddin to immediately investigate the so-called cartel within the police force after de facto Law Minister Datuk Seri Taqiyuddin Hassan dismissed calls to set up a Royal Commission of Inquiry to look into the IGP's claims.
The revelations by the IGP are definitely a cause for concern. We speak to mariachi Abdullah, MP for Petaling Jaya, about the issue and if it had affected public confidence towards the police force.
Very worrying in the sense that PDRM has always been seen as our institution that safeguards our rights, citizens' rights, protect our lives, as well as do their duty in a professional with integrity. But this disclosure actually casts dark clouds over PDRM, and that's why I really wish that we had the Parliament back again, and we actually don't have this darurat happening, because then when we restore back the Parliament, we are able to discuss this issue, as well as we were actually the parliamentarians were actually in the process of discussing the IPCMC, which is the Independent Police Complaints and Misconduct Commission. It's important that this commission be set up as soon as possible, because it was actually meant to protect the professionalism of PDRM, restore back the good name, the integrity of our police force.
The Independent Police Complaints and Misconduct Commission, or IPCMC, was mooted in 2005 to oversee the police force. The IPCMC bill was tabled in the Dewan Rakyat in 2019 during the Pakatan Harapan administration, but was withdrawn by the current administration last year. In its place, the Perikatan Nasional Government put forth the Independent Police Conduct Commission, or IPCC bill, which adds and removes provisions included in the previous iteration.
In fact, the bill should have been done last year, 2019. Yeah, and then 2020 we didn't do it. It has to be done almost like, I hope it's enforced by now, if possible. It's meant to actually safeguard. It's not really to punish the police, really. It's meant to really safeguard police welfare. Yeah, because we also understand that police, in terms of the barracks, the housing, and so forth, they face challenges too. So IPCMC actually looks into that, as well as to audit some of the police facilities, the way they operate, the procedures, and even when to protect officers, especially now with IGP in this kind of situation, protect officers who actually whistleblow on crimes within the PDRM. So that we actually want to enhance the professionalism, impartiality, and also the accountability of our police force.
According to the chairperson of Bar Council Task Force on IPCMC, Datuk Sri M. Ramachelvam, the recent revelations by the IGP had eroded public confidence in the police force. He explains what can be done to address this trust deficit.
First and foremost, I think what needs to be done is to have an independent and transparent investigation on the allegations. So this independent and transparent investigation has to be instituted without delay. Number one, to, of course, verify the allegations or the claims made by the IGP to ensure that the integrity of PDRM as an institution is preserved. Yeah, that is one. And the other thing that that should be instituted is what the Bar Council has called for, is a Royal Commission of Inquiry to look into the allegations that are made. I think it is important to have a Royal Commission of Inquiry to ensure that the allegations are thoroughly looked at independently.
The Royal Commission of Inquiry, RCI, would be formed by independent members including former police, IGP, judges and experts in policing affairs.
And they would be able to call upon the police officers to come up with the various, answers or issues that are faced. They can call up the IGP to give his statement and to come out with his proof, and to also produce witnesses that he has got. Other officers who are named would be able to defend themselves. The RCI itself would be able to subpoena witnesses where it's required. And after going through all that rigorous process, they can then come up with their reports. They can make recommendations. They can also suggest prosecutions and so on and so forth to be taken forth. And what needs to be done to overcome the problems that exist, that has been highlighted by the IGP himself.
Malaysia will no longer adopt the previous one dose reserve policy to speed up the vaccination process. Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said the existing Pfizer vaccine doses would be fully used. He added that the immunization exercise is expected to be completed ahead of schedule.
Khairi said that the government was satisfied with the delivery schedule of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine by the manufacturer. In a Twitter posting, Khairi clarified that the interval of 21 days between vaccinations remain now that more vaccines are being delivered that can cater for the second dose. He added that the immunization program can also be sped up and that vaccination rate at present can go as high as 20,000 a day based on the delivery of the vaccine. So far, a total of 847,630 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech and Sinovac COVID-19 vaccines had been shipped to Malaysia. As of yesterday, 452,919 people in the country have received the COVID-19 vaccine. Health Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Adam Babar said 422,058 received the first dose, while 30,861 others received both doses of the vaccine. Selangor has the highest number of people who had received the first dose at 55,763, followed by Perak, Sabah, Kuala Lumpur and Sarawak. Malaysia targets to administer 500,000 vaccine shots in the first phase of the national COVID-19 immunization program.
We'll take a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Yesterday was World Water Day and we focused on how water can be managed more efficiently for individuals and households. In the second part of our interview, we asked the Association of Water and Energy Research Malaysia President, S. Piara Pakaran, on how businesses can adopt strategies to use water in a sustainable manner.
For the business sector, now water is actually cost for business sector because the way tariff is structured, the business sector will actually pay more, especially the industry sector. So here, the government need to look at how to put in a carrot and stick approach to actually make businesses water efficient. There are cases like, in KLI complex, they used to do water recycling or reuse, basically in the repair side of the complex, where they need to do testing after an airplane is repaired. They need to do pressure testing and all that. They actually reuse the water. So they are good practices. There are some industries which are actually using this. It's just that we need to gather the information. We need to assist, especially the small, medium industries and enterprises. These are the groups that need assistance.
Piara Pakaran added that new technologies need to be explored, especially for the agricultural sector that is dependent on the high usage of water.
We need to look at new technologies which can actually assist them. Like, for example, now if we are spraying water throughout the entire plantation with sprinklers, that's a total wastage of money and electricity. There are better ways which we call as dripping method. I've seen in India there's one huge agricultural complex where everything is built in, the piping systems are all underground. The way the water system done is actually through a dripping method where it will ensure only the root where we are planting the tree actually going to get the water. We don't need to waste the entire area and waste the water. So there are many good approaches that can actually be adopted.
On to international news. 10 people, including a police officer, were killed in a mass shooting at a supermarket in Boulder, Colorado. Authorities confirmed that one person is in custody. This is the second deadly shooting in the country in a week. The incident began at about 2:30 p.m. local time when the suspect entered the supermarket and began firing. The shooting was live streamed by witnesses and broadcast on YouTube. Police are still investigating the motive of the attack. Israelis head to the polls today in their fourth election in 2 years. But will it deliver stability to the country gripped by a political deadlock? Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is projected to face an uphill battle again in forming a government.
Netanyahu and several rivals are racing to secure the 61-vote threshold required to govern in Israel's 122-seat Knesset. Netanyahu is campaigning on his stewardship on Israel's world-leading vaccination drive against COVID-19, as well as the diplomatic accords with 4 Arab nations. His opponents, however, said that he is unfit to serve while he is fighting corruption charges. Opinion polls forecast a tight race, which raises the possibility of continued deadlock and even an unprecedented 5th consecutive election.
Britain and the United States say they have taken joint action with the European Union and Canada to impose sanctions on Chinese officials over human rights abuses in the Xinjiang region. This is the first such coordinated Western action against Beijing under US President Joe Biden.
China has detained Uyghurs at camps in Xinjiang where allegations of torture and forced labor abuse have emerged. China has denied the allegations of abuse, claiming the camps are re-education facilities used to combat terrorism. China, meanwhile, has responded with its own sanctions on European officials. The EU has not imposed new sanctions on China over human rights abuses since the 1989 Tiananmen Square crackdown.
A year ago, the first MCO was announced, marking the beginning of disruption to the rest of the school year. We speak to MP for Kulai and former Deputy Education Minister Teo Ni Cheng if we could do better for our children's education. And that is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news updates on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro AWANI app. I'm Cynthia Ng. We'll see you tomorrow.